ADHD children can eat sugar. Now, I know that sounds contradicting because for years we've been told that sugar is the enemy. But what if we've been blaming the wrong thing this whole time? Now, think about this. Sugar is not what causes ADHD, because if sugar caused ADHD, then every single child, every single person who eats cake, ice cream, or candy would have ADHD. But that's not what we see. What we see is something much quieter, much harder to notice. It's not the sugar, it's what happens after sugar is being taken. Sugar can make the symptoms worse, not because of the sugar itself, but because of what happens after. Now, when a child eats sugar, something invisible begins. When a child eats a lot of sugar, their blood sugar rises very quickly. Now, I want you to think of it like you're lighting a match and then you're throwing it into a dry grass. Now, for a moment, everything feels bright, it feels fast, it feels alive. The child becomes more excited, more talkative, and more active. But then, the body then responds. The blood sugar drops. And for many children, especially children with ADHD, autism, or dyslexia, that drop feels heavier than it should. What does a crash feel like inside the child? Now, imagine you didn't sleep all night. You skipped your meals, and someone suddenly asks you to sit still, focus, or control your emotions. You would feel irritated, tired, or frustrated. That is what a blood sugar crash can feel like. It's not about the sugar, it's the instability. The ADHD brain already struggles with regulation. And one of the reasons is something called dopamine. Now, ADHD brains are not full of energy. They are trying to feel normal. And dopamine is what helps us to feel motivated, focused, interested, and satisfied. So for many ADHD children, it doesn't stay steady. Sometimes it drops below at what the brain needs. And when that happens, everything feels harder for them. Now, we thought they had too much energy. But what if they were just trying to find something that is already missing inside the brain? They're not trying to feel difficult. They're trying to feel okay. That is why we see ADHD children often look for stimulation. They look for movement, they look for noise, they look for snacks, they look for excitement. Because their brain is actually trying to restore something that keeps on going away. Now, movement is not just energy, it is a medicine to their brain. And just like sugar, movement also increases dopamine. And for a moment, it helps them to feel better, more regulated, more present. And this is where many of us misunderstand them. We think they have too much energy, so we let them run, we let them play, we let them move until they are completely exhausted. Because we hope if they are tired enough, they will finally calm down. But exhaustion is not the same as regulation. A child can be physically tired, completely drained, and still unable to stop because the brain is not looking for rest. It is looking for dopamine. Sadly, they don't always know when to stop because the same movement that is exhausting their body is also feeding their brain. So they just keep on going and going. Even when they are tired, even when their body had enough, they still keep on going. From the outside, it looks like too much energy, but on the inside, it is a child trying to hold themselves together with whatever that works. Sugar is actually helping your child temporarily because it gives a quick boost of dopamine. For that very short moment, they feel calmer, they feel happier, more focused. But that calm comes with a cost because sugar is like borrowing energy and happiness from later. And the body, it will always take it back. That hyperactivity is actually a crash. The dopamine drops, the blood sugar drops, and suddenly everything becomes harder again. It's like a swing. You push too high, for a moment it feels exciting. But when it comes down hard. So if sugar is not the real problem, What is? It is stability. And this is where glycemic index matters. Because some food spike quickly, others stay steady. And that steadiness changes everything for them. Breakfast can change a child's entire day. One meal can decide whether the child struggles or copes. Now, the glycemic index helps us to understand food much better. But not just about glycemic index to control the blood sugar level, we also need to understand nutrition. One of it is protein. Protein is not just for muscles, it's also for the brain. It helps to create dopamine. Without it, the brain struggles to function. Apart from protein, we can talk about fats. Fat doesn't harm the brain, it builds it. Foods like avocado, nuts, seed, olive oil, or salmon. It supports the brain development and stability. Children with special needs are already struggling, so sometimes we don't really know how they feel inside. We don't really know what they are trying to express, but we can actually provide for them a lot of support through food. And although food doesn't remove their symptoms, it doesn't remove dyslexia, doesn't remove ADHD, doesn't remove autism, but it can help them to support their struggling brain. Balanced meals, steady energies, and nutrition that supports the brain. Things like vitamin B and things like magnesium, things like calcium, all of these helps them to regulate their emotions better. This is not just about food, it is about stability. Because food affects more than we think. It affects our focus, our emotions, our behavior. Sometimes we forget something very important. These children are not choosing the wrong things. They're choosing the only things that make them feel okay. They don't know what dopamine is. They don't know what sugar does inside their body. They don't understand crashes or regulation. All they know is this: when I do this, I feel better. And so they reach out for sugar. They keep moving. They push their bodies, not because they want to harm themselves, but because for a moment, it quiets everything inside. They're not trying to be difficult. They're not trying to lose control. They're trying to feel calm, to feel happy, to feel like everything is okay. And maybe instead of asking them to stop, we can start asking, how can we support them better? How can we give their brain what it has been searching for all along? Because when we understand that, we'll stop seeing a difficult child and we start seeing a child who has been trying silently this whole time.